So we're going to be looking at some Monster of the Week games tonight. We had an influx of... That was weird. It just popped up that it gave me Muffin card dupes, but didn't have like the usual screen. Whatever. Again, no one cares. We're going to be looking at some Monster of the Week games. Had an influx of people because we did get an official announcement in the Phobies Discord, so going forward, there's going to be way more people trying to get into the events. Fair warning if you want to play in them. And if you want to play in them, how would you do that? You'd hit up the Randoms Thoughts Discord. Link for that is, of course, in the description of this video. What is Monster of the Week? Well, first I have to tell you that I'm part of the Content Affiliate Program. That means that I get coffee for producing Phobies content. And the devs also provide coffee as prizes for these events. You get coffee just for showing up and playing and participating. So, just throwing it out there if you're interested in getting involved, getting in the game. Everything's set to level 1. Try to make this as new player friendly as possible. So let's see. Let's take a look at this event. What was the bracket here? I don't know how many of these we're going to look at. We might have to go right to event 2, but we'll see here. We'll see if this was an interesting game or not. In my Palpatine era here. I'm actually starting to get too warm to have the hood up. I'm actually starting to get too warm. Alright, chat. We are here. We are on Diabolical. We got a Markin V Potenzia. Let's see what they got in store. I did put the challenge out there, I will say, to players, because a lot of people have been saying, well, maybe not a lot, but there's a very vocal minority of people that are unhappy with Withering Heights. So I kept it in the map pool intentionally, not to make people upset, but more so to encourage people to prove that the map is problematic, or isn't, for that matter. And I'm not saying, like, one of you throw the game so it looks that way, but legitimately prove that the optimal strategies are this, or if you know your opponent's doing the quote-unquote optimal strategy of whatever, that even if you try and counter it, it is not plausible to stop it. I think, just like every other game, there's a lot of chicken littling as soon as something challenging comes up, so I want people to prove that something is the way they claim it is. And we'll see. We'll see as we go through these games. But here, we're getting a Benny opener backed up by a late Crushmore from Potenzia, whereas on the other hand, a Markin elected to go with an early Gravedigger. Both players kind of doing the same thing, going to open up access to this top half of the map. This map, in particular, is... I don't want to say it's a very aggressive map, because it doesn't typically start out that way. Excuse me. What I found is you get this dance, and then either one player is able to make a push through this like bottom middle part where this central panic point is, or one player realizes that they can just gun it for the heart. Now, to be honest, I haven't seen too many good heart defenses on this map. We'll see how this game plays out. Still a lot of game left. The Hydra is very interesting into this comp. I mean, A-Markin isn't necessarily representing a ton of damage. Hevo and Stabby are on the lower end of range damage dealers. But with no great way to... Yeah, you're just going to walk the Hydra in, which is fine. I think we're just going to get some pot shots going down onto Crushmore and a retreat. We should not have... Gravedigger break it back up. Interestingly enough, Potenzia chose to break the forward obstacle. Ooh, we are going to boop. We are going to stay. Is there enough damage here? I didn't think there was enough damage, but there might be. Oh, no. I think Potenzia thought the same thing I did, which is that there is just simply not enough damage to kill the Crushmore, but in fact, he done did it. A-Markin takes down the Crushmore, and honestly, that's a big loss. A-Markin able to supplement not just with Ray Chargels, but also Inoculus, meaning that if that Hydra tries to go in, it's also going to die. Or at least risk certain doom. Counterattack here is not going to be... Is it going to be enough? Not enough to take down the Stabby. Presumably not enough to really address... Alright, we're going to get a Fireball to take down the Gravedigger. But that means that Ray, Hevo, Stabby, and Innocuous can all tee off on Hydra. The follow-up is Sabian. Another mech to throw into the Ray Chargel's Wood Chipper, but it is an AoE. It's naturally a mech, so it is fairly tanky. That's 1,400 damage right off the bat. Oh, man. Oof. This Hydra is regretting not calling out sick. Tough spot to be in for that Hydra. I think that's first blood. Oh no, never mind. What am I saying? Ooh, we're actually going to get a heal here. The Muffin to heal the Stabby. That's interesting. Follow-up range phobie is Gin Sting. Obviously, Stabby's still on the lava. This could get weird for Amarkin, but we'll see what happens here. We're going to dive. We're going for the Innocuous. There's no way to reach this, right? Stabby is going to die, and Sabian is right on top of the Innocuous, providing pressure. 10 keys to 10 keys, but we should get a fairly solid retaliation here from Amarkin. Including another set. How often do you see Ray Chargels get 4 hits onto a mechanical phobie? Like, that just doesn't happen very often. Down goes Creep. Probably not enough damage here to represent the kill on Benny. Clinico going to keep the Innocuous in one piece. Unless... Oh, no, the Cowbell blocks it off. I was going to say, unless Potenzia really wants to go for a super deep dive, they could send all 3 phobies in. Would they have gone for that? Probably not. It's probably not worth it. Yeah, I gotta be honest. This all feels like the natural progression from the Crushmore takedown. The overextension of that Crushmore means that 6 keys were lost with minimal value gotten out of them. And you were forced to kind of dive into Amarkin's team from there on out. And like, look at this. We're just watching phobie after phobie croak on Potenzia's side. You get a Glop as the follow-up, which... Why is this Glop here? Alright, we got a Shove Shark, but... Only 6 keys remaining for our orange player. They do have a panic point advantage, so there is pressure going down, but realistically, look at the hard health. There's nothing going on there. I will say, to Amarkin's credit, they did feature Innocuous and Shove Shark for an extended period of time, and we did not see the poke and prod plan of just push the Innocuous up, poke, retreat. Cupcake, the final phobie from Potenzia, is it going to be enough? It's a very questionable team from our orange player here. Admittedly, our blue player does have to do something. It is their problem to make something happen at this stage. However, we may see the dial get shoved. Like, there's a world where dial gets shoved here and then goes in and powers something down. It's probably not going to happen yet. But Amarkin does have some long-term value here in the Clinico. At least 2 fairly tanky phobies, 3 if you count Gin Sting. I don't know that the boom is enough. I think we may see the Shove Shark Innocuous play just to snipe the boom. Although this dive here means that there is an opportunity. Did Amarkin blunder here? Offering up the Hevo potentially for freezies? Having to disease the Benny seems rough. And you're you're offering up your snowball, very least. I don't know about this one. Glob going in. Who is it going for? Get the body block here, because obviously we're getting bees. We're going to go for bloat. Totally reasonable, given that bloat sucks. Innocuous, all them eyeballs, all staring at the TV. Are the rest of them? Is it only like one central eyeball and the rest are light bulbs, or do you think they're all eyeballs? I think they're all eyeballs. But apparently they're all going to be staring at the TV for a little bit. Boom will get a double hit. Dial's probably going to go down, but who cares? Already did its thing. You literally only have to kill one other, well, two other phobies, the Electric Cat and the Innocuous, because you can run away from Benny. And he will die of his disease. We're going to go for Benny, though. Take him down with the glob. Very well played. Amarkin did put in a lot of work here, controlling the board, obviously recognizing early on that there was that opportunity, and then just never relinquishing control of this game. Dude, the dial effect is still going. Feels like it lasts for an eternity. And I'm sure it felt like that for Potenzia. But truth be told, as I mentioned earlier, I am of the opinion this game was over pretty much as soon as the Rushmore was lost. Down goes Muffin, down goes our orange player. GG. Well played. Yeah, that was kind of a rare blunder there from Potenzia. I guess rare would be... Depends on who you ask. Let's see here. Well, I was talking about Withering Heights. Let's see who's got it in this game. Shinra is our blue player. Potenzia, once again, is our orange player. Now, we've seen a variety of different things on this map at this point already, and the big debate at this time is, do we have another hyper-aggressive map where it is verging on impossible to interact? While this is an 18-turn game, so a game on the quicker side of things, we have not seen yet a terraformer in order to try and open up the bottom panic points, or the top for that matter, to set up for speedolas. We haven't seen a Morty come flying out of the vault, because both of those have been discussed at length at this point in time as potential options to try and get that aggression going right off the bat. Now, speaking of aggression, this is kind of an aggressive take. Instead of taking the safer panic point, you're likely to lose tickles here, and no meaningful way to threaten? Like, you stole the panic point for a bit. I like this from Shinra, aggressively taking the northern panic point. You can claim the bottom one, or the middle one, afterwards, but looks like we're not waiting for that. We're going to go for the droney into a Gravedigger. Now, Potenzia does have an option here to defend. Like, there are tools available, 6 keys among them. We got Cupcake once again. This is a much earlier Cupcake. I like it in the defensive posture that's being set up here, because that means that the Hevo is a big defensive threat. Lord Shinra doesn't seem to care about the poison, which is respectable. Hivo getting tucked underneath the heart, you are still very vulnerable there. Cupcaked up Hivo, as well as Daisy coming down, both of those are going to be a threat, and this creep does not... I don't understand Shinra's play here. You do have a panic point advantage, so you are pressuring a fair amount. Probably about 60-something% left. Wait, what? Really? Huh. That's not one you see every day. That is not one you see every day. I wonder if Potenzia had tested the cupcake pushing off Shinra's attack and it did not work. Like, the numbers weren't there in order to kill the Hivo. And then they undid and then went for this kill, because that seems odd to just snipe that snowball. Gravedigger trying to get into position. It's not long for this world. It is preventing the Daisy from connecting with the Hivo, however. In fact, Daisy and Werewolf will have to reposition. Boom offered up by Potenzia. That seems like a mistake. And here we get the high five. I don't know. That cupcake play seems odd, but Potenzia does have the potential to claim a 4-1 panic point advantage in their favor. Gravedigger goes down. That means that this Hivo is going to go down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Phobies with only 5 keys, though. We don't have a whole lot to try and shoo away this high five, who doesn't seem to care about the poison that happened. We get a fetch. All right. You know, to be honest, I can respect the fetch. Panic points flip into Blue's favor once again. We're looking at 40-something% of the heart. Klopster trying to take a page out of Master Dark's book, I think. Werewolf, though, powering up. Down goes Creep, and Werewolf plus Hivo should be enough damage. Oh, wait, no, it's actually nowhere near enough damage. This one's gonna cut it close. Is it? I feel as though you would have been better off with a, Potenzia has not used their snowball, and I think you'd rather have the snowball just to prevent the Klopster from hitting the heart. It's a big oof moment. Still over 1,000 health, but barely. Barely. Rambolina, probably the penultimate phobia out of Shinra. This high five has to die this turn, but you need to kill all 3, basically. Do you? Panic point advantage is in Potenzia's favor. Obviously, Gargles is going to end up eventually becoming a statue, so it doesn't matter that it has the poison right now. Takedown there, preventing the connection from high five on the next turn. Not enough damage to kill the Rambolina, but it can't actually connect to the heart. You could boop and get a little bit of damage here, but it's a 4-1 panic point advantage orange. This was a very interesting defense from Potenzia, and like, look at the key differential. I mean, now there's a Blinky, but it's 1 to 11. That's actually pretty interesting the way this played out. I think Shinra might have been a turn too late on both the Gravedigger as well as the High Five. But the Phobies chosen from Potenzia also kind of... You know, like, the fetch was a lot of damage. And we'd have to go and look at the specific numbers, but... It kind of feels like there were better options. And if there were, then this would have been a significantly easier defense to manage, right? But either way, despite the heart damage that went down, we're talking 820 health remaining. I guess Shinra could not kill the gargoyles. Kind of makes sense. At this point, obviously, the game is all over but the crying. I don't know what the hell Cowbell's doing. Completely unnecessary. GG, well played. That was actually a really interesting game. Very quick, but still a lot going on in it. And at least based on that game, and again, that's like the 4th or 5th game that we've seen on that map, I can't condemn it. That was a tight game, but it was clearly defensible. Now, on the ladder, that map is probably a nightmare. Because aside from the scaling issues that are a known problem, you know, like the scaling of heart health and panic point damage stops at a certain stage. The Phobies keep scaling up beyond that, so it may just not be possible to stop and blunt an attack in the way you need. But you are able to defend it clearly on level. It is possible. I think Shinra's offense could have been refined a little bit more. Like, it just kind of feels as though the Gravedigger setup came out late. I get trying to go for the panic points early, but I wonder if pulling your... Because your opponent has to run so far on that map in order to get into position to defend, that I wonder if you're better off just going for the heart first to pull them away. Like, pull them towards their heart. Then you can claim the panic points. Then when they rotate to claim the panic points back, you can push hard again, hopefully having done enough damage between the two different waves that you can close the game out. And maybe that's the seesaw, the back and forth that is intended. I don't know. I don't know. All right, chat, we'll put the spoiler blocker up. All right. Oh, wait, nope. That's not the right game. No, is it the right game? I think this might be the right game. Where's that from? I'm just confirming this is the right one. I think this is the right one. So who did... Huh. Oh, no, that's not... That's weird. I think this is the right game. A lot of deliberation behind the scenes. We got Shinra versus PvZ. This is a 9-turn game. I wanted to see this because, like I said, this is the map that a lot of players in my Discord have been talking about. And as mentioned earlier, I told them, look, I think it's a bad map. Prove it. Show me that there's something broken about this map. And PVZ seems to be hell-bent on that, being that they are opening Gravedigger right out of the gate. However, Shinra has a big advantage here. Claiming 3 panic points to 0. Being willing also to allow Squiggles to get poison. So PVZ's setup is just the race plan. It doesn't appear that there's any interest in actually trying to interact with their opponent. No interest in defense, despite being a little bit behind here. Maybe a bit behind, because it's a 4-to-1 panic point advantage, and Shinra gets the first hit. Shinra actually investing in a muffin here. I mean, given the way this is set up. So this kind of goes to Karst's point about Gravedigger maps, and I'd be curious if Karst feels the same way about this map. Like, let's assume for the sake of argument that the optimal strategy for player 1 is to go hard. Like, do what PVZ is doing, but do it from the player 1 position. If we assume that that is optimal, and that it is not optimal for Orange to try and counter race, as in they're just going to go hard anyway, and both players ignore each other, because obviously blue player has first mover advantage. All of those things, if we assume they are true, the next logical step would be for Orange has to defend. Like, they can't, they're limited in options. They gotta come down here and interact. Look at this already. 1860. Blue has had 4 turns. Already dealt over 6,000 damage to the heart. A lot. So where I'm going with it is, if the optimal is player 1, go hard, the optimal for player 2 should be defend. Don't ignore, unless PVZ has got the math on their side, which, given there's another turn, I'm going to go out on a limb and say there isn't. Now, interestingly, Shinra in this game went for a relatively early Gravedigger. They did not do that in the previous game we watched. There was a delayed Gravedigger, and that led to player 2 being able to defend it. That's 1080 twice. Ouch. GG. So, this game, clearly both players agreed, I guess subconsciously, to just go for it. PVZ had no interest in defending at all. Like, they didn't even try. Unless you count claiming back panic points, which, In the other game, because Shinra did not get that early Gravedigger online, player 2 was able to defend it, so is the mistake that Shinra did not go early Gravedigger in the other game? Or is the mistake that PVZ did not try to defend here? I'm not sure which, to be perfectly honest. I'm not really sure. And that's, going back to the other point, the reason why I think there's an interesting discussion to be had with Karst about this is, when we talk about Gravedigger-centric maps, the center stage is the most recent egregious example, the one where it's just literally a circle in the middle of a small map of obstacles. Like, it's clearly a Gravedigger map, right? You are at a disadvantage if you don't put a Gravedigger out there and early, so that you can continue to break blocks. And the complaint is that kind of solves the map, where it's like you have to have Gravedigger involved in the early game, which immediately drives home, here's your build order. You get the Gravedigger, if you're going second, maybe a 1 key, or you bank into this, or whatever. But it's pretty regimented. If this map bears out in a similar fashion, where player 1 should be, like, this turns into a Gravedigger map. Player 1 needs to go Gravedigger on turn 1 in order to set up that Squiggles play or some other offense. And it is just literally not possible for player 2 to defend it, or to race, as in, player 1 goes Heart, player 2 goes Heart. If it is not possible to do that, then the only logical response is to defend. And that also kind of solves, air quotes, solves the gameplay loop. It doesn't 100% solve it, but I wonder if, coming back to cars, is this still problematic? Or anybody for that matter. Let me know down in the comments. I'm curious how people feel about it. All right, chat. Let's take a peek here. Oof. So we did have some new people joining. I'm going to try and get them onto stream. We're going to look at a couple of Koro games, it looks like, because they played some of the new people. But I will say, Kira here, who is one of our newcomers, shout out to them, is stress level 22. Koro is somewhat north of that. And I think that's going to bear out here in the Phobie choices. As you can see already, we get a turn 1 Murder Wing. You don't see that very often outside of the lower stress levels, because once you unlock other Phobies, it becomes suboptimal. But Kuro, interestingly enough, goes Henrietta into Bank. Ooh, Hexy. I really like the big house as a map. I like the big house as a map for a while. Until we started to see... Well, basically until full disclosure. Because then we got the Sentinels, and these big lanes cause problems. Ooh, Koro, a little spicy here. What did you miss? We just started your game. A little spicy here. Hexy into Grimes. Hexy into Grimes. It's been a while. Welcome back. Sheep is the response. Totally respectable. Out of our orange player, Gargoyles. Are we going to see, like, an advanced heebie-jeebies special? So that's what this feels like right now. So, the Gargoyles can tank the poison to a degree, but our orange player is not willing to sacrifice sheep. I feel like I don't know that you have to take that, but this is not good. We got the heebie-jeebies special. Little lockout action with the Gargoyles. Quagmire getting aggressive, though. 4-1 panic point advantage. Popping the Hexy here with a little meatball. That's a dead Murder Wing. Follow up Gravedigger, presumably to counter the Crushmore. Obviously, Crushmore gets way more value out of this because it is a lob. This Grimes has done almost literally nothing. As I say that, it starts harvesting. Sulky. I was about to call him Sussy. because I couldn't remember his name. It's Sulky. Apparently we're going Team Reaper. Potshot's going down. This is almost monodimensionals. Sulky broke the trend. Ooh, we're actually getting a... I don't love that break. I don't love that break. I understand what's trying to be set up here is you wanted to get the sheep going, but the sheep was not in position. You got to do that. Like, the break and the sheep have to happen on the same turn. Ooh, Sulky with the takedown. Grimes feasting on the back line. Suddenly, there's only 3 keys left for each player. The sheep, I believe, can kill the Grimes. Actually, no, it can't. It probably can't do it. And the Grimes can get back in range of a Muffin, but nope. Clinico finishes the kill. The Clinico Assassin, haven't seen one of those in a while. Gesundheit, the follow-up. I have to say, our orange player is doing a pretty good job of staying in this game, especially... And again, all of the phobies are set to level 1, but there is a degree of advantage conferred by having higher stress levels, because if nothing else, you have more stress level phobies, but you assuredly have more phobies. Like, just in general. Panic point advantage remains orange. Kuro using their heart health as a resource. The sheep has influenced Kuro's plays, but it's mostly done nothing. I think the big whiff, no pun intended, was being unable to set up the sheep on the Gravedigger break turn. Ooh, Sulky with another kill. What are you up to? 600 damage. It's only 2 kills, but still. And with Quagmire down, that's probably the end of our orange players' chances. Because Sheep's going to die, and then Gesundheit and Cowbell are not going to go the distance against this team. Certainly not when 2 of them are dimensionals. Sulky going to take down the Germ, of course. One shots the Cow. Get out of there, Crushmore. 900 damage. I mean, yeah, why not? Why not? GG. Well played. Both players. Very well played. And just to prove it, yeah. Big old level differential. I'm gonna put this up for a moment just so I can find where the game break is more easily. Obviously, we're... people probably already saw what the result of the next game is. Once again, looking at a Koro game against Anubis, another newcomer to Monster of the Week. Welcome. My condolences on the matchup. This is not as bad of a level differential. Look, I think it was 96 to 122 or something like that. Yeah, the level differential was enormous. Enormous? I can't talk. I'm tired. I burned myself real bad today. Well, not real bad, but I burned myself pretty bad. I went and got coffee. Picked up the cup out of the car holder. Turned to, like, get out of the seat, and then the top popped off, and it spilled all over my lap. And it burned my leg pretty bad. Thankfully, not too bad. Just got some ice on it. It wasn't, like, 3rd-degree burns or something, but it hurt for a while. Here's some advice for you, chat. Don't spill hot coffee on yourself. Hopefully you didn't hear it here first. Ooh, we getting a little trapped snowball? Koro. As I'm regaling everyone with my tragedy today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that... I mean, it's not trapped. That snowball... It's going to have a bad day one way or another. Going with the disease rather than the fire. The only reason to go with the fire Nah, that wouldn't matter, because then the cowbell can kill it anyway. I was going to say then maybe you can get a displacement on the fire ant, but that wouldn't have happened. You would have ended up, like, fire ant would have done damage, and then the cowbell finishes you off. But we do have our first trap going down. Fire ant is a terror. You got to be careful with the aggressive snowball plays on a map like this, because obviously you could have something get trapped like that. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 2 panic point advantage, so a +3. A cool 600 damage going down onto our blue player. Ice Cream was the follow-up from blue. Sparky, I don't love. I don't know if Anubis has access to tickles. You're clearly going to need to be scouting for these fire traps. It will be a problem very, very quickly. And even here on the disease tiles, I think the fire traps have value because that Hevo wants to lurk on those disease tiles and threaten a lob or just poke or be the supplemental damage that you need from an area that the rest of your phobies don't want to, encroach on. With fire traps being a risk out there, that's not really going to be an option. And I'm not seeing anything at the moment out of our orange player to really break this relationship. You either need something to remove the traps, whiskers or tickles or doom doom. We do need a mech phobie to do this. What do we have? We have an undead, a monster, and dimensional. Yeah, so the next expansion, we're going to get Minesweeper. And he's going to go and clear these traps. He's going to be a mech. You heard it here first. But we do, in fact, have a Tickles. That's only really going to address one of the traps, possibly. And that assumes that Anubis is willing to send it in. Other options could be, we saw Quagmire last game. Given the setup from Koro, there isn't really a safe way to do that. That's a Smother Mother. I don't even remember the last time we saw a Smother Mother. Probably a Master Dark game like a year and a half ago. It was Master Dark that was like super into Smother Mother, right? Ooh. Boggart. Anubis trying to give Koro a taste of their own medicine here. That's 3 traps down, and we're now at you're in a real tough spot territory. Heartbreaker? Okay. That one's real interesting. I don't know about that one. Follow-up Hematic Ginsting. The Anubis, interestingly, sending in the Tickles to claim the panic point. I don't love that. The whole point of the Tickles was to clear these traps, and compared to many other traps where it's, oh, well, I could just have the one key stand on it and it dies and who cares? This is kind of a big deal because you're going to hit an AoE trap, and these traps are pretty much on your side of the board. You can make a case for the topmost one, but it's really ruining your ability to properly... Oh, no. Oh, no. Does Anubis... no! Oh. This is what I would say is the beginning of the end. Oof. The terror form... I understand why it was put down. For anybody who's confused, it was there to try and lock out some positioning from the Smother Mother. But, yeah. And then this play is pretty sick. Get the Smother Mother pull into the Heartbreaker yoink, into some stimmed up hits onto this Hevo. And surprise, it's dead. That's a lot of cooldowns and a very long one in Heartbreaker, but that's a big advantage to take. 2/3 of the way through the game, 6 keys remaining to 2. Smother Mother is diseased. There are silver linings about this for our orange player. I don't love that positioning. So I think you needed to push the Gravedigger in, put the Sparky behind it, and beat up that Smother Mother more. If they want to stay there and, like, what, kill your Gravedigger? I don't know that you care. The cooldown was down. There is a, like, maybe they were afraid of the trap. But I don't think there was ever a point where Fire Ant was forward enough. It would be diseased. There's no way it could put a trap on that tile unless it allowed itself to get diseased. Although this Smother Mother will eventually die, it is going to lurk around for probably a couple more turns than it should. Get the invade coming in from Koro. Freeze onto Jar? This is all to set up the positioning from the Fire Ant onto that lava tile, because otherwise the Jar could shell it, which is kind of cute. Cooldown should be back soon for Heartbreaker. Okay, maybe not. Heartbreaker comes back online sometime in 30-35. One last yoink for the road. Koro does kind of need some more traps to connect well, but with only 3 keys remaining, it doesn't really matter. Multiple traps still on the board, a big panic point advantage for our blue player, meaning that our orange player has to advance into the teeth of their team, and there just simply aren't enough. See, like, imagine if this thing was already dead, which it probably would have been if damage was put on it earlier. For me, this game kind of comes down to the lack of reaction to Fire Ant. I understand somebody could make an argument that Fire Ant did not have a humongous impact on this game because it didn't attack a ton of things, although it kind of did. It attacked a bunch of things, it laid a huge amount of traps, and clearly screwed with the positioning of our orange player. Definitely was in their head for most of the game. I think you kind of needed to push up onto the Fire Ant or find some way that you can 100% lock them out. Like, those are your choices. You either have to activate the traps and clear them out, or you need to have such a strong and stable position that it is not possible for them to reclaim the panic points, which I think is, like, obviously really difficult to do. So, GG. Well played. Interesting, chap. Very interesting. Let's see here. Trying to get the new people in if I can. Is that? I gotta look up this person's in-game name. Hold on. Names. Here. So why? I think this is the right one. Oh, it's 15 turns. For a second, I thought this person was stress level 15. And I was like, oh my God. I mostly went Phobies. I thought it would be fun. Well, I mean, you've been kind of on a a meme kick for a while, Goro. But no memes here. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Dear H versus Stayer. Stayer also new to Monster of the Week. Welcome. And my condolences about the matchup. Dear H, one of our more competitive competitors. We'll see what they do here on Diabolical. Some very quick games tonight, chat. Some very quick games. This is only a 15-turn game. There was a rather large stress level differential, although there is not as great a disparity as we saw in some of the other ones. I have considered, and I've had people periodically ask about, hey, what if we ran some sort of tournament that was intended strictly for beginners? There's no real reasonable way for, ooh, a Hexy. We've seen a few of those tonight. There's no reasonable way for me to run tournaments that are, based on league, because you can't track it after the fact, so I can't say, well, what rank were you last season, because we can't see what your ladder ranking was. And if you leveled out of it since then, I can't look back. Stress level's a decent one. We could do that. I don't want to do anything super complicated, like having people ban out of other people's collections or prevent certain things. I just want to do a cutoff where it's this stress level and below or something like that, because it's much simpler, easier for people to understand, and easier to enforce. It does get complicated because what do you do if somebody, if I say stress level 50 and then somebody gets to 51 after they've signed up? Do we kick them? Does it matter? Something like that. Notably, Dear H breaking kind of a weird block. You don't commonly see that one broken on this map, I don't think. But still no Terraformer out of our orange player. Instead, we're getting Stairmaster and Erratic to counter the Speedola rush here. And honestly, with no Terraformer, this might be the game right here. Because there's no Terraformer, it gives Dear H the opportunity to just sprint these Speedolas right up to the heart. And there's really not much you can do. In fact, there's basically... I don't want to say there's literally nothing at this point, but there might literally be nothing Stayer can do from this stage. It's a 4-3 panic point advantage. Looks like we're going to get a leap off the stem onto Hevo. That does body block everything, but I don't think it's enough. Do you get the Gravedigger, so clearly there is something Stayer can do? This will allow the Erratic to get into position not this turn, but next turn, which makes this even tougher. Stemmed up hit onto the Stairmat. This is going to be a lot of hemorrhaged Phobies over the course of this, assuming that Stayer can even stage this defense. With 17 keys left, I have to imagine Dear H takes this because there's only 15 turns, and it doesn't look like this is a position where you're like, oh, all right, I'm going to surrender. Now, this does allow for the Erratic to get a single hit, given the positioning of the blue Speedola. I don't think that's realistically going to matter. I don't think I love moving the Stairmaster out of the way. The Stairmaster body blocking there might be better. Big ol' Erratic hit. Droney coming in. This heart can get burned down pretty quickly, though. And because of these choke points, it looks like we're going to... Yep. The Rusty follow-up definitely helped out here, locking the Erratic in place. Because that blue Speedola is going to move. That means only Hevo 2.0 is really going to have the opportunity to get some good hits here. Actually, it's going to get the one, but displacement will do nothing. Hexy and Stairmaster are going to try and supplement. Guess what? They have to go through Gravedigger first. And I mean, look at the heart. Tough spot. This is what we've seen in the past on this map. Sometimes you just... If you leave your opponent the opportunity, and... I don't know that this is a Gravedigger map in the sense of what we've seen and we're talking about earlier. But opening up these pathways with one terraform or another is very important. And to be honest, I'm a little surprised that with this many updates deep, and we have not seen another terraformer yet. Ooh, I will say that this was a very powerful defense put on by Stair, and it almost stabilized. It almost stabilized, because look at this. A little Russell action. Not really relevant for the most part, but... GG. Well played. Almost got there. I really thought that defense was going to collapse. Like, it did not look like it was going to do anything of value, but it almost did. It almost got there. A slightly quicker reaction, and Stair might have been able to take that. But GG. Alright, chat. I'm going to take a quick break. That's the end of Monster of the Week games for this week. If you're interested in playing, hit up the Randoms Thoughts Discord. Link for that will be in the description, of course. Free to play, and you get coffee just for showing up and playing. As long as you complete all your games, walk away with a little bit of coffee at least. But that's going to do it for tonight. So as always, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Tune in next time for more Randoms Thoughts.